Hello, everybody. This is the PixelBlips podcast for October 21st, 2012. I'm Andy Ryan. I'm part Sega, part Mega, part Genesis. That's Dave DeWart. He wasn't lucky enough to have one.
No.
Dave, what'd you play this week?
Well, I got a new video card for my PC, so I played a lot more on my big TV in my living room than I have in a while. Basically, yes. So I was playing Darksiders 2, and I cranked the settings all the way up, and it runs perfectly, so I love it.
PC Master Race.
You're goddamn right.
Well, it's about time you guys caught up, and surpassed
us.
Given that the new consoles are coming out in the next
I don't even
couple
have
years.
a high-end PC. Like, I'm running mid-range pretty much all the way across the board, and it looks better than it would on the PS3.
So you're running a system that's better than 97% of the people out there?
Probably.
Yeah.
But
So that's mid-range, right?
That is a mid-range system, because that's not the one that I dropped. I didn't drop $1,000 on a video card. Okay.
This is my bad impersonation of Tim Allen. Anyway, go ahead.
So I played that, and me and the wife have been playing a lot more Diablo 3 this week, just because she wanted to play it.
Yeah, the family that plays together stays together.
And
do you guys hold hands? Well, you can't.
Because her desk is over here.
So you use the same mouse. So her hand's on top of your hand?
No, because then I can't click different things.
Do you guys at least listen to Al Green while you play?
No. We just have Pandora running. But with the new Inferno...
Is it Boner James Pandora?
Damn it. Let me finish my shit.
Okay.
So we've been playing with the new Inferno monster level stuff, similar to what they had in Diablo 2, where you could set it to like players 8, and you could play super powered monsters. They have it up to like level 10 now, and it's ridiculous. Like anything over monster level 2 just decimates us. So yeah, you still click things to death, but you have a lot more survivability options, and you have more abilities at your disposal than you did in Diablo 2, because you can only hotkey 2 abilities.
I'm sure if I had a computer to run Diablo 3, I would be all up in it.
Just wait for them to release the console version in 2018.
No. Actually, that's if there's one thing the Vita has taught me, it's that I really don't like those clicky dungeon crawlers.
You might like Torchlight. Torchlight is...
But with the sticks.
Yeah, no, Torchlight ran really well on the 360.
Really?
Like, you could play Torchlight 1 with a 360 controller on your PC, and on the 360, obviously, because they released it. And Bastion's also on the 360. And it runs, from what I can tell, it runs pretty good on there. I have it on my PC, but I have a 360 controller, so.
Same diff.
Yeah, pretty much.
Literally.
Yeah, so I like my 360. You can't play Darksiders with a keyboard. You really.
I'm not bad-mouthing the controller.
You're
I'm
just
not
saying
bad-mouthing the keyboard or the mouse. I'm saying it's the same difference.
It's the same thing, yeah. If you can play it on your...
Yeah, it's your end user experience is the same if you're sitting in front of a TV holding a controller,
or a monitor,
as if you're
or you use your TV as a monitor.
Yeah, exactly. So literally the difference between a computer and a console in your case is nil.
Yeah, because they're the same thing at this point.
Yes, especially when you consider like Xbox games.
And with Steam's new setup, the
TV
the big picture, which is really neat.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice. I flicking through that is pretty cool with the radial. I don't know if you've seen the radial keyboard that's set up for it. Takes a little getting used to, but it's pretty nifty once you get it down.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what I've been doing this week. Darksiders and Diablo. A little bit in the PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale beta.
I've also played the PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale beta.
The Vita one isn't out yet?
Oh, they're both out.
Oh, okay, so you can download it and play it on both.
Okay. And I've played against people that have Vitas, and I've played against people on...
That's cool.
And I've played against people on the PS3 that have Vitas, and people that are playing their PS3 on my Vita and stuff like that.
So on and so forth. Okay.
Yeah, so the netcode works. So there we go.
Yeah,
There's the answer to that question.
I saw no lag when I was playing today. I just saw a whole bunch of people playing Kratos, because why not?
It seems like early on in the beta, it seems like Kratos and Radek are the two people to beat. Yeah. I play Parappa the Rappa because you gotta believe.
You do.
Because one, I really like his level 3 special. Because
it's a full screen instant kill, right?
Yeah, so whereas Kratos, well, it's not full screen instant kill, but whereas Kratos, you have to run around and slash at stuff.
But you get like 45 seconds to kill everybody.
And as Radek, you have a little reticle you have to put on people to kill them.
Which is really easy to avoid if you're sly. You just go invisible and he can't see you.
Yeah, and if you know what you're doing, there's a dodge button. If you jump in there and dodge, right when the reticle turns red, it doesn't hit you at all.
Yeah, I did the tutorial for a couple minutes. I'm like, oh, you can air dodge. That's cool.
So the thing I like about Parappa is that if you're within like this little circle around him, it's an instant kill, but it knocks everyone else back. So then Parappa has a throw move where he drops his boombox,
and you can
the boombox starts hitting out those little
They're like
glowy
little
orb.
PlayStation power orbs or whatever.
Yeah, the power
they
orbs.
up your
it
super meter.
basically moves your super meter up. And if I knock everyone back, do that,
and
and
then
then
drop
I'm
the thing.
like halfway to my number 1 super move. And also Parappa's number 2 super move is also overpowered. You throw down the skateboard and skate around.
Oh, you get to skate back and forth.
You
for a
skate
couple
back
minutes,
and forth,
yeah.
and as long as you're in one of the levels where there's a long flat surface,
You'll just knock people out.
you just back and forth.
And you just
and
tap
you can
it.
jump too, so they'll jump to dodge you, and you just jump right into them.
That's cool. Yeah, no, I played a little bit with Parappa because he's the tutorial character.
Yeah,
but
okay.
Yeah.
I since I've only basically been playing Parappa, he was in the tutorial anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, so I played Sly, who I didn't really get. I got beat.
I've seen some people beat me with Sly, so.
But
I haven't
played a brawl game in forever. Like,
everyone looks pretty even, but everyone is also going for Kratos and Radek.
Because they're the most badass looking.
And the only thing about Radek that makes him super easy is he has a
long range
sniper shot that everyone always does, and it hits a lot of people because apparently no one understands there's a block button in that game.
Yeah, no.
I like Parappa's block move.
He just puts his skateboard up.
He's like,
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen anybody play Fat Princess, but I only played like
Fat
3 or 4
Princess
games.
is kind of
Slow.
No, Fat Princess is actually very floaty. I mean, she is literally like the analog to Princess Peach.
She's.
But the other thing is that she can call out her army.
Oh, all
so
the little dudes?
her attacks have a much longer throw.
That's cool.
So it is really cool. So at the moment, the 6 characters that we've seen, all
Pretty
seem to be very.
balanced
I mean, I'm happy I pre-ordered the game. I think I'm going to like it when it comes out.
Okay. How much does it cost? Or how much did it cost you?
The pre-order?
Yeah.
I think I put $10 down.
You're not doing is it a same-day digital game?
Oh, no, I'm not doing that.
Oh, okay. I figured if you had that, then you have the same-day digital. You never lose it. You can never get rid of it.
This has cross-buy, so I want to make sure that the actual retailer numbers are up for this game to show Sony that I support that.
Okay.
But I did pre-order it at my local game retailer, which I always suggest you do.
To make sure there's more copies of the game floating around.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And also support your local game store. GameStop doesn't need your money. Neither does Best Buy, Target, or Walmart.
Well, Best Buy might because they're kind of falling over. But other than that, they're good.
Need your money and like.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I gotcha. Yeah, they're big retailers. Try to go with the smaller stores.
Yeah. So what else did I do this week? I played more Silent Hill Book of Memories. Speaking of Diablo clicky games.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to not like it because
Really?
it's an action RPG like every other dungeon crawler, and those things get repetitive. So
Yeah. Well, and that's how Darksiders is. You know, mobs drop weapons. You get the upgradable weapons are kind of cool, but I just maxed out the first one I have, and it's still not cutting it half the time.
So far, the story's not really there. So the story is you have this book that you write. You can erase your parts of your life and rewrite them, and then that somehow reflects in the game world, but not really.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if what I'm writing in the book is actually what I'm learning in the other world.
Yeah.
So it's kind of this weird disconnect. But the base dungeon crawler part of it is fun.
Just repetitive, like most dungeon action RPG type games.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, I don't think there's one that hasn't been repetitive.
Well, but that's just the nature
par
of
and parcel for that thing.
that genre.
Kill mobs, get loot, rather rinse, repeat.
Yeah. So you hit max level and then they add more levels.
Yeah. What else did I play this week? They had a Halloween pack for Zen Pinball 2 tables.
Oh, really?
Yes. For like, I want to say I spent like $4.25. I got the Plants vs. Zombies table, which is fun. The Sorcerer's Lair table, which is fun. And the Paranormal Investigator table, which is very odd. It reminds me a lot of the Magic one.
Theater of Magic?
Yeah, Theater of Magic on Pinball Arcade. Like,
Okay.
there's a lot of weird ramps, and there's a lot of like
trapdoors.
Yeah, keep hitting this thing to make it move and stuff.
Okay, so
and there's also a cube, so maybe that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, that's
Theater
usually
Magic.
Those big things are usually a center point, like with Bride of Pinbot. The face is a cube that just keeps changing, and it has different slots for the balls to fall into and turn the eyes on, the mouth on.
That's exactly what Paranormal Investigator is.
So they just copied Bride of Pinbot.
Well, copied, but maybe inspired.
Borrowed
definitely.
a lot of ideas from.
Well, it's pinball.
Yeah, I mean ramps hold triggers, things like
Yeah,
that.
orbits. What do you? Like,
Yeah, there's not much you can
you really
do.
can't reinvent the wheel. I mean,
Well, with Zen Pinball,
Zen
they do a
Pinball,
lot
they
of stuff you
kind of
couldn't do.
reinvented the wheel.
You can't do a lot of that stuff in a real pinball machine.
Yeah,
but
that's why I kind of like Sorcerer's Lair is probably going to be my standout because it's one that totally could exist in real life.
okay, that's cool.
So, we've
If
talked
I get a
before about
Vita,
how you
I'm
like that.
definitely going to pick up those pinball games.
Yeah, well, because you already own them.
Well, I already own the
let's see,
original.
what
Zen
else have I been
Pinball.
playing this week? Playing a little bit of House of the Dead because they had a Halloween bonus pack. I think it was $15 or $20.
You get both.
You get House of the Dead 3, 4, and Overkill remixed.
I had Overkill. I think I got rid of it. Damn. Oh well.
I don't have to ever get rid of it now. I mean,
Well, you
I
have
also
it-
had it on the Wii, so
Yeah.
and it really kind of stuck out. I was like, wow, this is.
Pretty awesome for the Wii.
I mean, yeah, but the PS3 version, I was like, wow, this looks
Way better.
considerably better.
Yeah, and they added a new character, right? Wasn't the
Yeah, and a couple new
the
levels,
blonde?
but I haven't gotten there yet. I played most of the time on not Resident Evil, House of the Dead 3, which is the one in the arcades where you have the shotguns,
Yeah.
which is fun.
Yeah, it is fun. I like House of the Dead 3.
What else did I play this week? Oh, I remember what I played this week. So I played a little bit of Lunar, the Silver Star story, and I played a little bit of Android Assault, and I played a little bit of Sonic CD. Dave, why would I have randomly out of the blue just played 3 Sega CD games?
Because that's what we're going to talk about this week.
That's crazy.
I know. But,
So-
you know, Lunar's always a good game.
Yeah, Lunar's always a good game.
Sonic CDs,
No,
it's
no,
a
no,
little-
no.
it's
Once
not-
again, I'm gonna go out.
I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's a little different.
I'm gonna go on. Once again, this is Andy's stance. If Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles were one single cartridge, it would be the best Sonic game.
Yeah.
Since they're not, Sonic CD is the best Sonic game.
Well, because there's a past and future thing with every level, right?
And it kind of changed up. It's not like Sonic 2 where you just run through the level. This has a little bit more of exploration things. But the reason we're talking about it,
Yeah.
and the reason we're talking about this, is because October 15th, 1992, also known as 20 years ago,
A couple days ago.
yeah, 20 years ago, a couple days ago, blah, 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 blah.
20 years in a couple days.
The Sega CD landed in the United States.
Yes.
And it's probably going to go down in history as one of the more successful add-ons for a video game console.
I could see that. I mean, it's better than the disk drive for the.
Yeah, it sold more than the N64 disk drive. It sold more than the Sega 32X. No duh.
Because the 32X was
It
weird.
sold more than the Famicom disk system. We get into peripheral talk, it's going to get really fudgy, but like
Yeah.
add on, bolt this to your new thing. It definitely sold more than probably sold more than the Xbox HD DVD drive.
Which it should have been in there anyway, but.
Well,
Yeah, but that's because the HD DVD wasn't a great format. But
I mean, but it could have sold more than the
It
HD
could have
DVD
sold
drive.
more
I didn't
than-
look up the HD DVD drive when I did research for this. I just now thought of it.
you're like, hey, there was this thing. So,
But
yeah.
out of the roughly 42 million units Sega Mega Drive, Sega Genesis units sold, 6 million units of
Or
the
of
Sega
Sega
CD.
CD bolt-on.
So
were
like
sold.
1/7 basically of the
Yeah.
user base had this.
And then there was some. I don't know if they were weird knockoffs, but there were also some
Different versions of it.
third-party Sega CDs that.
Yeah,
came
there
out.
was the Sega CDX, which was basically the size of a Sony Discman, and 8 batteries like a mofo. And that was, I believe, where this came from. This was the pack-in disc with the Sega CDX,
Okay,
I believe.
something like that.
But there was also like a JVC version because, you know, Sega went and said, here's the standard,
Yeah.
go make it, just pay us money. And
I had
thinking
one of
back
those,
in my
actually,
mind.
but I never got it to work.
What?
I had the JVC one. But
The
I think we got it at
XI
a
or
garage
whatever it
sale.
is.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like this big.
Yeah, they're
It
pretty
was
bulky.
pretty huge. But I mean, the bolt-on is like that tall. So
Yeah, so the original Sega CD was a live underneath your Sega Genesis with a little sliding disc drawer that apparently breaks all the time.
Yeah.
The Sega CD I had was a second version where it sat in a tray next to it, and they actually redesigned the Sega Genesis
To fit
because
into it
of this
better.
Sega CD.
Yeah. And looking at a picture of it now, it looks a lot better that way. Because don't you have the
Yes.
old Sega?
No, I do have the old Sega, but my old Sega's cartridge drive broke
That was
while I
gone.
was in
So
college.
you have the second gen.
Yeah, I have the second gen. Personal history. I got the Sega CD for my, I guess, 12th birthday.
Something like that.
In 1997.
Yeah.
And the first game I got for it, my mom bought me Sega Classics Edition, which was a CD that had Golden Axe and Columns.
Kind of like the one you can get for your PS3.
Yeah, and Return of Shinobi, and I want to say Super Monaco GP, but I might be wrong. Or Alter Beast. I think it had Alter Beast.
So it had
4 games.
Yeah.
And except there were 4 games that were already on the Genesis. So within weeks, I went back to the Funko Land. Remember Funko Land, kids?
I remember Funko Land.
And I went and asked the guy. You know, the guy at Funko Land was very, helpful.
Those guys were actually pretty cool, as I remember.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
I mean, if you have to wear that ugly ass shirt, you better be cool.
Yeah. No.
And I said I was a big fan of Sonic and a big fan of Zelda and a big fan of Final Fantasy. And he said Lunar. Lunar is the game you need to play.
Yeah.
So that's when I got my first copy of Lunar.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
well, Lunar was a really good game. I mean,
Lunar is on par. Like, Lunar is in the running for best RPG of all time. Like, up there with Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really good game. I didn't play it until I got it for the PS1, and they had redone pretty much everything. Like they
added a bunch of stuff in the second half of the campaign,
and they redrew
all the sprites,
all the FMVs they redid.
Yep, there was
they
totally
re-recorded all the
FMVs.
voice acting. They used the original voice actors, as many of them as they could. But,
yes.
But it's weird when you hear Alex in the first game. He's like a little kid.
He sounds so much younger.
He's a little kid because he was like 8.
Yeah, it's the same actor in the PS1 version, just 5 years between those two. So.
Like 5 or 10 or something like that. Yeah. But Lunar was a really good game. The FMVs, the story was really good for any game really.
And
for a Sega CD game, it was really impressive.
Yeah, that was really the point of CD games in general, because we had Ys Book 1 and 2 on the TurboGrafx CD.
Yeah.
They did stuff that you couldn't do with a cartridge.
Yeah.
I mean, you consider like Phantasy Star 4
had like little stills that they would replace as cutscenes. But this had full motion
Phantasy
video.
Star 4 started as a Sega CD game, and it was originally, I think, the first 64 megabit cartridge, or maybe 32.
It was one of the larger cartridges. Yeah, that's why it cost like $80.
It was super expensive because it was one of the larger cartridges, and it was like 64, 32 megabytes. But then you look at a CD, and you have 600, 700, 800,
megs,
whatever.
Is what the Sega CD or Sega CDs held.
So
I'm sure there was some system stuff on it that it had to hold on to.
Yes. But seriously, like, there was that much more space.
Yeah, there was a lot of space, and some games used it really well.
Yes.
And then there's games like Super Shark.
Okay, we'll talk about.
We'll get about these other games, but
we're going to talk about a couple of the good, and then there's going to be a bridge one that is good with air quotes, and then we'll talk about the bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so probably so we talk about Lunar. Everyone loves Lunar. I remember begging my parents for Lunar Eternal Blue, and they never found it for less than $70, and they just weren't going to do that for a 12-year-old me.
No, especially not in the mid-90s.
No, not in the mid-90s. So I brought back Lunar, Silver Star Story, and I traded it in for Dark Wizard, which to this day is one of my favorite games, Dark Wizard, and we will talk about how craptacular these cases are designed. But
yeah.
Dark Wizard is a wonderful strategy RPG with parts of the same team that made the Shining Force games.
Yeah, it was a hexagonal, right? Like,
yes.
Very, very similar to...
It was more of a wargamer's strategy RPG than an RPGer's strategy game.
Yeah, it was like a big...
Like there's
I want to think it's like kind of like Advance Wars, where you would move your guys tile by tile, but they were hexagons instead of squares.
Yeah, and there's really only 12 named main characters in the game, and every time you run through one of the campaigns, you only get 3 of those characters.
And 4 of them you play.
Yes.
And they all have their own little anime.
And they all have their own campaigns that are different, that are wonderfully written. Like it's good. I highly recommend.
And the whole premise of that is what? One of the 4 characters is trying to take over the kingdom?
No, there is an evil wizard.
Obviously.
A dark wizard who is trying to resurrect an evil god, a la Lodos.
Yeah.
Record of Lodos War.
It's Record of Lodos War.
And the evil wizard interacts with each of the 4 main characters differently.
Okay.
So, like one of the main characters, you're a vampire that's trying to overthrow the dark wizard, so you can resurrect the god. One of them, you're a witch who's been who the evil wizard tricked into killing the king. The good king, so you're going out for revenge, and one of them, you're the king's son, who the king is dead, you're going out for revenge. So it's very good, like standard RPG, strategy RPG story fare, but really wonderfully written, wonderfully animated, and it looks good, it's fun. And I played it so much the summer of '92. It was that and going to the pool.
We didn't have a thing until '97.
Oh, 97. Sorry, not 92. Anyway,
92 is the year that the system was
yeah,
released.
so I played it so much in the summer of 97 that I could close my eyes at night
And
see
see
the
the
user
grid.
interface.
See the UI.
So if you've ever been to that spot with a game,
I
that's
was
the
that
spot
way
I was at.
with Phantasy Star 4.
Yes.
But I mean, the UI for that was, hey, here's the back of all your characters. Here's the guys you're fighting. But it was still, I mean, you played Phantasy Star 4. It was a good game.
So the other game I traded Lunar in for was this really bad FMV game called Time Gal, which was a Dragon's Lair-esque.
Yeah.
Push the button when the light
When
shines.
it lights up and yeah.
And we'll get into those games in a bit.
Well, I mean, Dragon's Lair, to be fair, Dragon's Lair and Space Heist were both on there. And those games worked fairly well if you had the timing down and you knew what was going on.
And that was the good thing about the Sega CD is that it added a lot of RAM to the Genesis. It made it more able to do this stuff.
It gave it a better processor. Well, it had basically give it a second processor to work with. So, hey, it was your first dual-core system.
So we'll see what else did I get on the Sega CD. I got Popful Mail, which was kind of an RPG side-scroller. I got that later. I got Sonic CD later, which once again is an awesome Sonic CD game.
Sonic game.
You need to go get it on the Xbox 360 or the PSN. You'll love it if you like Sonic.
It has a really awesome soundtrack too.
Yes, that was the one thing about all the Sega CD games since it was all CD music. It was all awesome.
It was all way better sounding.
So talking of awesome soundtracks, I also got this game called Android Assault one year for Christmas. My mom bought it for me because she knew I liked giant Japanese mecha, and this was basically an R-type scrolling shoot 'em up.
It was a horizontal shmup.
Yes,
I watched some video of that.
As you power up, you eventually turn into a giant robot that shoots really cool stuff
in all directions.
But the music for this thing is just like wailing guitars and synthesizer.
It's pretty neat,
and it's fun. It's
fun.
Yeah,
it looked really fun. Again, I've never played half of these games because I never had a Sega CD.
Well, and that's the one thing. Like, Angry Video Game Nerd did a Sega CD thing a while ago, and he was like, "It sucks. It's horrible." But you know, you're not playing the good games. Like, he understood that. Like, I'm only playing the bad games for this, so of course it's going to be bad. Because he's like, I can only get my hands on the bad games.
Because the good games are really hard to find.
Yeah, the Sega CD has such a powerful fan base that we hold on to the good games, like just with tooth and nail.
Yeah.
Like I've been trying to get Shining Force CD forever. All these games are available through emulation, and I know last time we said piracy is bad, but since none of these games are ever going to get released again, now is the time to experience these
they'll
games.
get released as virtual ports to the PS3 or the 360.
Yeah, but like things like Shining Force CD probably
won't.
aren't.
Some of them will not. Yeah, Dark Wizard probably
won't.
Eye of the Beholder may or may
Lunar
not.
is probably never going to get released again because of the rights.
Yeah, but you could still get it for the PS1. You can get it on the PSP.
Yeah, but Eternal Blue.
Yeah, you'd have to get it for the PS1 if you wanted to get anything close to that.
This is the moment where we say emulation and piracy. This is the gray area where we're like, you should experience these games.
If you want to experience these games in as close to pristine
as you're going
to get them without having to hunt down or pay exorbitant amounts of money, it's okay.
So one of the other games I got towards the end of the Sega CD's life cycle.
Oh, you're fine.
A lot of the Sega CD games were also Sega CD 32X titles.
Yeah, and it had a big orange side or yellow side on it.
Half blue, half yellow.
Yeah.
So,
which 32X was like, just like a giant thing that sat on top of your
it was
Genesis console.
And I love my mushroom, but so I remember going to the store at Toys R Us, and they had a bunch of these on sale, and I bought Snatcher, which has since left my collection, which I really wish it hadn't.
Okay.
Snatcher is a great game. It's really hard to go into here. It's Hideo Kojima's first
big game.
Just go and do it yourself, Hideo, and he went nuts. It's really good. I highly recommend you emulate and play that. You should play it.
Or if you could find it and you have a working Sega CD.
Yeah, which the Sega CD, I'm surprised mine's still working.
Like a lot of them flop out.
Yeah, this morning I went in blew out the dust from the drive and everything. It works swimmingly.
Well, good.
So I bought Snatcher, which is excellent, and I highly recommend you play it. And I bought Night Trap for the Sega CD 32X.
Buy Night Trap. Oh, it's Night Trap.
Remember a little bit ago when we said there was a lot of FMV games and we'd get into them in a bit? This is that bit.
Ugh, Night Trap. Why you do that?
So the top 3 selling games for the Sega CD are Sonic CD,
okay,
Lunar the Silver Star Story,
okay,
and Lunar Eternal Blue.
Well, yeah.
Because none of those are FMV titles.
Well, not... I mean, they have...
No, but when we say FMV titles,
they're not live action people running around doing weird stuff. They have animated movies in them. Yes.
So there was a subgenre in the early 90s, if you don't remember this, the CD-ROM was going to be the harbinger of our wonderful digital future.
Yeah, and this wasn't a Sega CD thing,
This
like exclusively.
was
Like the PC
everybody.
had tons of these games. One, Phantasmagoria comes to mind, and it was not that great.
Remember the CD? What was the CD encyclopedia everyone was going to have?
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Like
about.
little postage stamp size shots of like Bill Clinton getting inaugurated. I mean, just the people went crazy with the CD because they were like, oh, it's so big.
Yeah, you can fit 600 megs on here. This is amazing.
When 600 megs was big. So
Yeah, it's still not bad.
So the Sega CD got a lot of these games.
Yeah, they did.
And I use the term games in air quotes because they're not really games.
Yeah.
But the good thing about Night Trap, and while I stand by Night Trap, is because Night Trap is so bad.
It's good again.
It has come back around.
It's done the whole loop.
It is.
It's like your worst B movie ever. It's like Evil Dead 1.
And it starts like one of the like C-listers from Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
So Night Trap, the basic story is you are some sort of super crime investigative unit, and you're watching all these surveillance video feeds
of this house.
Of this girl's house while she's having a sleepover.
Which is not creepy at all.
Well, it was the 90s.
It's still super creepy. There's a pillow fight scene.
You have to track these masked ninja people as they try to like get the...
And they play like real ominous music when they're on, but then they're playing like 90s music when the girls...
And there's a song in it and everything.
Yeah, there's... Night Trap. Yep.
Grabbing a tennis racket, playing a guitar. You know you do it.
No, I just play air.
Once again, so bad, it's good. And the Sega 32X version, actually, one of the things about the Sega CD only version was that you could always tell where the guys were, because as you flipped through the different cameras, if it took long to load, you knew you hit one with a guy.
Because it's not playing the video that it was meant to be playing.
It's playing a different track of video. The Sega CD 32X version gets rid of that.
Yeah.
So it's an actual kind of a harder game.
It's the hard version of this weird game.
Yes. So Night Trap is normal, and the funny thing about Night Trap is during the Mortal Kombat and horrible blood and guts.
Yeah. It was real campy.
The Senate hearings of like, are we destroying our children? They trotted Night Trap out as like evidence that we're all going to end up growing up to be serial rapists.
Yeah, and it's
because like, look at this, they're taking little girls, and it's horrible. Like, and when you actually play Night Trap, it wouldn't even get a PG rating. It would get a G.
Yeah, because I mean, there's no violent. Well, there's probably a little bit. But
I mean, there's not like gore.
Yeah, it's not like bloody violence.
I'm going to draw a line in the sand.
There's no Al Gore.
There's no Al Gore, and say that, given the fact that we're never going to get another Lunar game,
Give us another Night Trap.
Lunar's never going to be released. Sony, Xbox, Microsoft, Nintendo, re-release Night Trap.
Give us a Night Trap port.
Yes, port Night Trap to your system. That'll be the #1 system forever. So there's tons of these FMV games. There's Ground Zero Texas, which is just horrible.
There's Sewer Shark.
Sewer Shark.
Where you go through tunnels to deliver food to different areas.
So the funny thing about Sewer Shark is when Sewer Shark first came out and the Sega CD first came out, it got a perfect score.
Because it was really weird. And
they were
not
like,
weird,
it's
but
so amazing. Fast forward a couple years, they're like, it's not amazing. We're going to
pretty
go
terrible.
back and editorialize that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like in the early 90s, all this CD stuff was so amazing.
Everybody was just in awe of what you could do with CDs and on a video game console.
And they were like, it's so great. It's not.
Not so much. I mean, come on. Let's make a video with Marky Mark. Which
CNC Music Factory. Oh, and don't forget the Scottie Pippen basketball game. Because really, when you think basketball in the mid-90s, you think Scottie Pippen.
Well,
also known as the dude also known as Michael Jordan's shadow.
The guy from the Bulls that isn't Michael Jordan.
But it was at that time in the early 90s, oh my God, they were everywhere.
Oh yeah, they were all over the place. There was a lot of Sega CD games. Well, there was 220 of them officially released into the wild. Which, we probably got about half. When we talk
about successful console add-ons, that's another earmark. There were tons of Sega CD games.
There were a lot. And of course, there's crap games and there's
good games. Really good games.
They're really nice gems.
Yes.
So we love the Sega CD. We miss
But I do have to say one thing I do hate about the Sega CD.
Yeah.
Is this is the original packaging for a Sega CD game, and actually here we'll take this one out. This is a complete in-box copy of Eye of the Beholder that I think I got for $5. And oh my God, this you would think that the instruction manual for this thing is a frickin' Bible, but it's not. It's this really normal size Sega Genesis manual. And
it's like 80 pages.
Look at all this empty space in here. I mean,
it's like the original PS1
look at that. That is just... We'll do close-ups. This is just a giant amount of wasted space. This is the type of thing that only comes out of a boardroom full of people that know nothing about design.
It was the 90s.
It originally had a foam brick that would sit on top of the CD.
To make sure it didn't come out while it was being shipped across the ocean.
Yes, that you would just lose the minute you pop this thing open. In fact, I have a few of the bricks. I have the brick for this game and the brick for Dark Wizard, but I've taken them both out and replaced them with bubble wrap because
bubble wrap's fun.
It's so much easier when you open this thing up and the bubble wrap's right here. You don't have to move the cube.
Yeah.
But, oh God, this design was just horrible. I don't know why they stuck with it.
As I just mentioned, when the PS1 was initially released,
yes, it had
they also did the same thing. They had those really huge jewel boxes. And I think a lot of that design comes from, it was the 90s. VHS was still a big deal. And so they were selling VHS like...
But this is...
It's
horrible.
not as
and it's really bad plastic.
It's not good
These
plastic.
things crack all the time right around here. In fact, here you can actually see there's a crack right there. I'll give you a close-up of that. It's just bad. It's horrible. But they do look good on a shelf.
Yeah, they take a lot of space.
I gotta say, they do look good on a shelf. And it really lets you know that it's a Sega CD game with all the branding all over the box.
So, but yeah, there's some things with the Sega CD we didn't like that.
Trying to find the RAM backup cart in the aftermarket. Oh my God, I've been looking for one of these things forever. They just didn't make a lot of them because not a lot of games really needed it.
Yeah, well, don't you need one for Shining Force?
Yes, there was internal memory inside the Sega CD that could handle a game or two.
One or two games at a time, depending on the size.
Depending on the size. Like I know it'll handle Dark Wizard and Eternal Champions, but nothing else.
Yeah, that was the part where they were trying to figure out how do we save these CD games because we don't have memory cards. They didn't have memory cards then. They didn't have slots on the front like the PS1 did.
Yep. So Lunar takes up most of the. There's not enough space to do Lunar and Lunar Eternal Blue on the same drive. So what they came up with was a Sega Genesis cartridge. You would slap into the top of your system,
and it would act like a memory card.
Yes, and it's like I said, the only one I can think of off the top of my head that absolutely requires it is Shining Force CD.
Yeah, and it needed a lot of space.
Yes, basically because Shining Force 3D CD is 3 games. It's
in one.
One of the Game Gear games, another one of the Game Gear games, and then you have them both together, and it gives you the actual epilogue of that story, which is where the meat of Shining Force CD is supposedly. I don't know. I've never gotten to play it because I can never find a ROM backup card.
And you're not going to sit and just let it run for days on end.
No.
That would kill your Sega CD.
No, I don't even think you can. I don't think you can do that.
You have to save between the games.
Save between the games and then load up them both.
But you can't do that because you don't have the thing.
Bad Sega. Bad. You should have made more of those. You should have had the aftermarket and plan. Yeah, I have a Sega Mega Mouse, which was easier to find than a Sega RAM backup cart. So that's happy 20th birthday, Sega CD.
Yeah, we like you. We wish you had lived longer.
This man over here was horribly jealous of me every time I played Dark Wizard.
And I thought it was a different game forever, and I still don't know what game I thought it was.
I don't know, but
it's not the one.
Every time he came over to my house as a kid, he was like, "Can we play Dark Wizard?" And I was like, "No," because I'm a dick.
And I always came over to your house to play D&D, which.
Yes. Speaking of dicks, what's your spotlight game, Dave?
My spotlight game of the week is Cthulhu Saves the World. Yeah. You have to save the world in order to destroy the world in Cthulhu style. It's pretty neat. I think it's out on iOS, PC, and 360. It might be on the PSN, but I don't know.
I don't think it is.
It might also be out on Android. I haven't confirmed that, but I know it's out on the first three. It's pretty good. It's a old school JRPG type of game. 16, 18-bit. It's pretty neat. You can play it with a controller on your PC, so.
I'm kind of looking forward to this game coming out called Dragon Fantasy, which is like a throwback to those old 16-bit RPGs, 16-bit RPGs. Because that throwback is just so fun.
Yeah, some of those are pretty good. I'm only like 5 hours in, and I've had a blast with it. It's just, it's really well written. It's really funny.
Yes. It's hard to make a good game, and it's hard to write a very good game. But if you're a guy that's good at writing, you can write a good game.
Probably. I mean, there's a lot of one-liners. There's like a cyborg cat that you run around with that's like the third or fourth thing you pick up. It also has a companion game. I don't know if you can get them on a pack on Steam. It's called Breath of Death 7, which there's no Breath of Deaths before it. It's just Breath of Death 7. You play a skelly guy who doesn't say anything. He's a silent protagonist in a JRPG game.
Which happens a lot.
Well, yeah, but you're a skeleton.
Yeah, which doesn't happen
So
a lot.
you don't have the capability of speaking. But you'll see his little thought. His thought bubbles, but nobody else can see him.
Speaking of JRPGs,
but it's pretty good. So those are my spotlight games for the week.
Speaking of JRPGs, my spotlight for the week was originally my understanding it was made in RPG Maker for the PS1.
That doesn't surprise me. That was a pretty powerful game.
Yeah.
Game
in air quotes is Corpse Party. It is a PSP and Vita title.
Okay.
As we get closer to Halloween, you're gonna want scarier games. And Corpse Party is one I always point to. It's really well written, but weirdly written.
Well, that's probably good.
Very off kilter, but interesting. It's the kind of game that like I'm kind of not 100% behind endorsing it because it's $20, which is a little bit of a lot.
That's a lot because my games I think are like $4 or $5 each.
Yeah, if this was a $10 game, I would say everyone needs to own Corpse Party because it is so weird and out there and spooky and not so much scary as tense. Very good. Pick it up. PSN. You would do yourself a favor. Thank you. Don't forget to spay new to your Pokemon. Also, give your SEGA CD some love this week. Happy 20th birthday to the SEGA CD. Well, let's take a better title.
Yeah, let's throw Dark Wizard up there.
Happy. Many happy returns to the SEGA CD. Many happy returns to the Sega Genesis, and a few happy returns to the Sega 32X.
Maybe. We really want your Mushroom Cloud.
Stay tuned. Will we be doing a Sega 32X happy 20th anniversary? We might, but probably not. Later, gang.